Making a horror game can be an easy task for many developers, but making a scary, interesting horror game is a much harder task that only a few developers can achieve. In order to create the creepiest game possible, developers tend to rely on different elements aside from a scary atmosphere or powerful visuals. One of those elements is using references or events from real life to trigger some sort of curiosity or interest in the player's mind. Every horror fan, whether in gaming or the movie field, knows very well that when a game or film is based on true stories or even an indirect event that occurred, it changes everything when it comes to vibes and your perspective about what you're seeing. Our minds are designed to be thrilled when we realize that paranormal incidents can happen in our real world. Even though we are scared of it, we still love the feeling of thinking about it. Now that I have you in the mood, the main point of this intro is to give you an idea of what we will be talking about today, which is a real-life reference in a horror game that's coming very soon. This game is The Bridge Curse 2: The Extrication, and it's basically a sequel to a Taiwanese game that's generally based on a horror movie, and I talked about it recently. The game is set at Wenhua University in Taiwan, which is notorious for its spooky ghost rumors. At the university, a student film club wanted to recruit new members, and to achieve that, they decided to hold a weird ritual called Carnival of Horror, hoping to capture footage for a horror movie based on a local campus legend and mystery. However, things go sideways, strange phenomena begin to occur, and the students start to face genuine supernatural threats. And if you focus on the game's name, you'll understand that there's a deadly curse in this place that you need to uncover or at least survive its influence. With that being said, the reason I made this video is not to talk about the general story of the game or the gameplay, because we'll talk about that in a deeper manner when the full game releases. In this video, we're going to talk about a specific part of the story that was actually inspired by a disturbing real-life incident. In the game, a major mystery revolves around a missing student who was last seen on elevator footage. The trailer showcases a glimpse of the student's final moments in the elevator, exhibiting strange behaviors that make absolutely no sense. The trailer also mentions that the police posted the footage, asking people for help finding the girl, but after 15 years of the incident, the mystery was never resolved.
A student at Wenhua University, the last images we have of Huang Tingting are in the elevator of the school's Daoren building. The surveillance footage shows her making some bizarre movements, and soon after, she disappears into thin air. The police released the footage imploring the public for help, but it yielded no results. That was 15 years ago to this day.
If you're familiar with true crime documentaries, or you're someone who watches a lot of videos about creepy incidents, these hints will probably trigger something in your mind and make you feel like you've heard about it before. Long story short, the inspiration for this occurrence comes from the mysterious incident involving Chinese-Canadian student Eliza Lam. This event goes back more than a decade, when Eliza was an ambitious student at the University of British Columbia in Canada after her parents immigrated to the country from Hong Kong. In 2010, she started to have an interest in blogging, and she made her own blog to post stuff about fashion and photos about clothing in general, but also to document her struggle with mental illness. Beside blogging, she was passionate about traveling and visiting new places as much as she could, and that's why in January 2013, she decided to go on a trip to California. However, even though this journey is something new for her, she traveled all alone, using trains and buses. When she reached her destination, she visited the San Diego Zoo and made sure to take multiple photos and post them on social media. A few days later, on January 26th, she went to Los Angeles. And considering she doesn't have any friends or family members there, she had to search for a hotel to stay at. This is when Eliza made her first mistake, and things started to get much darker. Of all the hotels and places in Los Angeles, she decided to check into the Cecil Hotel. And if you know about this hotel, or if you live in the city, then you clearly understand why it's the last place to go if you're a lonely tourist. Over the years, the hotel has been associated with countless deaths, violent crimes, and people putting an end to their lives in mysterious circumstances. The building also went through periods of decline and neglect, leading to a rundown and unsafe atmosphere, which made it the perfect place for all the wrong people, including serial killers.
Who are you?
Just a guy.
Among the notorious guests of this uncanny hotel are Richard Ramirez and Jack Unterweger, and they are both ruthless serial killers who spent nights in the place during their crime sprees, which included murdering more than 25 people. Beside that, the horrible reputation of the hotel made it an ideal spot for gang members, drug dealers, and all sorts of bad people that you would not want to have around you. In other words, guys, this is a hotel to watch scary documentaries about, not to sleep in or even step inside. However, Eliza was just a visitor, and she had no idea about all that stuff. And the only reason that led her to this hotel was the fact that it was cheap and affordable. At first, Eliza was given a shared room, but after only 2 days, her roommates complained about her bizarre behavior and movements, which eventually led to her moving to another room for herself only. During her days of being in California, Eliza was in touch with her parents every day and made sure to always keep them aware of her condition and life there. However, on January 31st, the parents didn't hear anything from their daughter, which was very unusual. On the same day, she was also scheduled to leave the hotel, but for some reason she didn't. At this point, her parents freaked out and realized that something was not right. They decided to call the Los Angeles police to report her disappearance, and they traveled to the city to help in the search. The police searched her room and searched every part of the hotel, but they found no signs of her. The hotel's manager told them that the last time she saw Eliza, she appeared very friendly, happy, and energetic, and she didn't showcase any suspicious behavior. Afterwards, the police searched the rooftop and used dogs to sense Eliza's scent, but all the methods were unsuccessful. After one more week of desperate investigation, on February 13th, the police decided to release a video that shows the last known sighting of Eliza before her disappearance. This footage is from the surveillance camera of the elevator, and it will basically become one of the most infamous pieces of footage we've ever seen. The video shows Eliza going into the elevator normally and spending some time trying to press the proper button for her destination. Afterwards, she stood in the corner in a weird way, waiting for the door to be closed and the elevator to move. But for some reason, the door didn't close, and nothing moved, which made the girl concerned. But instead of looking at the buttons again, she did something unexplainable. She leaned forward to get her head out, looked quickly right and left, and stepped back in. This seems like someone is following her, or she's hiding from something, but we can't actually see anything. Seconds later, she steps back even further and sticks to the corner of the elevator again, as if she's trying to remain undetected. Then she gets herself together and slowly steps outside the elevator while analyzing the environment around her in a creepy way that makes zero sense. She spends some time outside the elevator as if she's talking to someone invisible, and then goes back to press on the buttons again, but this time she seems like she's pressing all the buttons randomly, which means that she has no idea what to do. She's desperate to get the elevator to work, but she simply fails to do it for no apparent reason. She's frustrated and stuck in a hopeless situation, but just when you think the bizarre scene is over, it gets even more bizarre. Eliza begins to move her hands erratically all over the place, and she kind of feels like she's trying to touch something. However, if you focus on her fingers, you'll notice the position is not natural. Her fingers are very stretched, and they're almost making her hands look like they're getting bigger and turning backwards. Sadly, even though we're dying to understand what's happening during this particular moment, the footage does not give us clear answers, because after this section, Eliza moves away and will never be seen again, at least not alive. For some reason, the elevator's door then starts closing and opening back and forth, but it doesn't matter anymore because no one is showing up. The footage you've seen makes it clear that the game is inspired by Eliza's notorious elevator video and maybe even her entire story. But unfortunately, her story doesn't end in the elevator because the search didn't stop after publishing the video. The police kept following every hint and asking people to report anything that might lead to her location or even where she went after she left the elevator. A few days later, the guests at the hotel began complaining about something unusual. They told the managers that the water pressure is low, but most importantly, the water has a very dark color and tastes extremely bad. On February 19th, a hotel maintenance worker went to check the water tanks on the roof to see what's wrong. But what he found was way more disturbing than just a water problem. He found Eliza's body in one of the tanks providing water to guest rooms and the coffee shop, and her face was facing upward. This surprising discovery led the worker to panic and call the police before they finally cut open the tank and removed the body from the water. No one had any idea how Eliza ended up there, but there are many theories that were stated to explain this mystery. Some people said she was chased by someone and escaped to one of the tanks. Others said she was killed and her body was thrown there, while some claimed that she might have been using drugs and lost her concentration. However, her body showed no signs of violence or any kind of drug use, and the only drugs that were detected in the tests were the ones she uses for her mental condition and were recommended by her doctor. The only theory that made the most sense is actually related to her mental problems, which is the fact that she had bipolar disorder. Experts suggested that Eliza might have had a psychotic episode that day, and her behavior in the elevator was a result of her hallucinations. For those who don't know, psychosis is a mental condition in the mind that makes the person unable to determine what's real and what's not. It becomes hard to understand clearly if the environment around you is a result of delusion or reality. This basically means that Eliza was seeing things during her time in the elevator that we can't see because they're simply exclusive to her mind and her perspective. In other words, Eliza was probably seeing someone chasing her or trying to hurt her, regardless of whether it was real or not. This means she kept running away until she made it to the water tank, and she most likely slipped or jumped there believing it was a safe place, unaware that she would drown.
Couldn't be. No.
However, the theories didn't stop there because some people argued that a portion of the video had been removed before it became public. They said the footage included another person who might have been related to the disappearance, but people in the hotel kept him out of the video that they gave to the police. Even though this is a crazy theory, it remains possible, especially because we can't verify anything. All the theories are feasible, even though psychosis remains the most logical one, considering Eliza's history with the problem. We still don't know if the girl in the game has the same fate as Eliza, or if she will end up in a completely different situation, considering the supernatural nature of the game. I would really love to know your own ideas about what could actually have happened to Eliza. Do you believe it was an accident based on her mental issues and psychosis? Or do you believe there's an unknown third party who was responsible for her death? I personally think both situations are possible because the condition of Eliza's body didn't give the doctors a clear idea if she was touched by another person or not. Anyway, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and by the way, you can now join the channel and become a member to support us and stand out in the community. It's as cheap as $1, but it will help us a lot. Legend has it that people who join this channel become immune to ghosts and misfortune, while those who don't start facing paranormal phenomena at night that logic can't explain. Not really, but you get the point. Anyway, give this video a like if you loved it, and see you very soon.
Weird. Did I press that?